Hey guys, welcome back to Stall Talk, the place where women can feel comfortable to truly be themselves just how they are in the bathroom stall. Unfortunately, our girl Jenilee is still at home recovering, so we wish her a speedy recovery, and like we say, the show must go on. Today I'm joined by Skylar Sorkin. How are you doing again?
Hi, you guys. Thank you so much for having me here again. So excited for today's chat.
Ooh, come on in.
Let's get down and dirty.
The totally unfiltered, honest.
Welcome to my brain.
I love your brain.
Stall Talk.
Stall talk.
Y'all ready?
Cass,
Yes.
insane news.
Okay, what is it?
I'm turning 27.
Yay, happy birthday.
Thank you, boo. It's kind of a weird birthday for me. This is a massive life update. I got laid off last week.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
I know. It's
How are
okay.
you processing this?
You know, it's been a journey, if I'm being completely honest with you. There's been lots of lows of like literally me being on the floor, digesting all of it. But I think I'm at this point now where I'm now seeing a lot of the highs and like the next steps of what I get to create from this, what I get to create from this loss, and get to pause with myself and ask myself, like, what is it that I want to do with my life?
Yeah.
And that's been super exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm sorry that happened. I know that was a huge part of your life, and it's probably hard to see that door closing. But like they say, when a door closes, another one opens. I truly feel like everything happens for a reason. I know it's hard in the moment and you can't see it, but I feel like maybe closing that door just now allows you more time to expand on another opportunity that you could have never even seen because you were so preoccupied in something else.
I agree, babe. That's so true. And I literally feel like it is the universe doing me the biggest favor of just removing this massive boulder and weight in my life. And to be like, Sky, babe, like it's time.
It took a lot of time in your life.
I know. And I feel like, you know, being in corporate America, I've been climbing the ladder for the past like 4.5, 5 years. And it's been so rewarding and I've learned so much. And now it's like, how can I take all of the fruits of my labor that I've learned and I've accumulated in all of the relationships that I've made, and now pump that and feel that into founder mode and being an entrepreneur. And I don't really know the how yet, but just getting started is freaking powerful. And I agree with you. I think it's just like shedding like old identities and stepping into the unknown.
What is that like in terms of like what kind of advice do you have for other girls who are experiencing like a change in identity? Because I know I can relate to that, not in a career sense of way, but in a different way.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it's all context and it depends on the type of girl, right? Like for me, while I was navigating corporate America, I was also building a business, building my dreams. So I think for the girls who are aspiring entrepreneurs, I think start now, like regardless of whether or not you have a full-time job, if you know what you want, start. It's not going to be picture perfect all the time, but if you can just start to seed those ideas, those dreams, I think that's a phenomenal way just to get the ball rolling. But I think when it comes to shedding identity with a relationship or with being like even a wellness girly or a corporate girly, like those are tiny parts of who we are as women. Like I see you, babe, and myself as dynamic beings, right? And I think we go through different eras and seasons. And for 4 years, my era was being a corporate girly. But now we're in a different season. And that's totally
a new era.
Exactly. And that's totally beautiful and real. And I think the biggest thing that we can do for ourselves as women is just to accept it and to embrace it and to sit with it. So that's what I'm doing.
Well, I'm super excited about our guest that we're having on today. I feel like you could definitely relate to and have a great conversation with. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
Yes, we are speaking with Miss Migena Agaraj. She is a multi-talented professional. She is a founder, CEO, speaker, investor, 5-time best-selling author. I'm excited to pick her brain.
Oh, well, I'm really looking forward to it. Let's welcome her on.
Super excited to introduce you all to a very special guest today. Let's please give a warm welcome to Miss Migena Agaraj. She is a multi-talented professional. She is the founder and CEO of Eagles LLC. She is also a 5 times best-selling author, speaker, investor, TV host. Girl, you are wearing so many crowns. It's flipping amazing.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. You look lovely.
Oh, you look
and
gorgeous.
We decided that after this, I'm taking the suit with me and
Oh, yes.
back to New York.
Babe, bring it back with you. Wear it in
love
New
it.
York.
And you did such a great job remembering all of those. And when you were saying those, I'm like, wait, that's not me. That can't possibly be me. So thanks for the reminder.
Oh my gosh. In any way that I can remind you of your worth and what you've built, I'm your girl.
Thank
and I
you.
think that's so funny because even when other people are like introducing me, and this happens a lot where I'll be introducing someone and they'll be like, whoa, like I did all that. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like imposter syndrome. It's weird.
It is. And I'm like,
Like,
wow,
is that me?
okay, please stop, you know.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's good to be here. I am honored and privileged because getting things done and then having someone else reminding us of who we are and how we show up in the world, it's important. It's important so we can inspire others that even people with accents get things done.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so true because I, especially being, you know, my corporate experience of climbing the corporate ladder and now going full throttle into entrepreneurship, there are a lot of young women who see my accounts on social media and me talking vocally about like what I've learned and what I'm doing. And I think for a lot of women who are looking at, you know, successful women and entrepreneurs like yourself, it's kind of like, whoa, well, how did she get there? And I think what's so cool about you is that obviously, I think you can agree with me here that there is this power in relationships, and really like your network is your net worth. So I want to get into the nitty gritty with you today on like how can audiences and our listeners understand like how to network, how to get started, and like why building those interpersonal skills can really drive success in your personal and professional life.
Oh, wow. That's like a book on its own as a question for sure.
Should we write a book too?
Yes, we should. We were taking this and ChatGPT it into a book. So, well, how to get started? Well, I also been in the corporate world for a decade and a decade prior to that in the customer service. But I like to go back to the origin. So being born and raised in a beautiful country like Albania, who was very isolated for the longest, I feel then once the borders open, then you feel limitless. And my parents sacrificed everything. They brought my brother here and myself. The order is not that. I got here first, and my brother 14 years later. But they sacrificed. They were both entrepreneurs. Dad is a carpenter, like pretty much having his own shop and working in that tiny village of 300 families. And mom having a tiny restaurant where the teachers would stop there before we went to school to teach us. So I had no room for misbehaving because I was being watched 24/7. And having half of my cousins in the same school with me, including my brother, and grew up with all of these guys, and always being this fearless leader within my family because I was the only girl after all these many guy cousins.
Damn.
I felt that I understood men a lot more than I understood women growing up, and then helping mom at the restaurant and then helping dad at the shop, or cooking at home, washing clothes by hand and ironing and surprising my parents with these surprise dinners. And then you come to America and every single skill you get to apply, and being that no matter what industry you're in, it's always been a male-dominated industry. I never complained because I felt at home.
Yeah.
Because I understand strong men who just start businesses, have businesses, exit businesses, and create more businesses. So I think for me, it started at a very, very young age, being born into that environment, but also being raised and molded into having a voice as a woman, sharing my thoughts, And it was okay to share your thoughts, even if they were not always the correct ones, but there's one way to find out. You express. So freedom of expression has been part of me growing up as a young woman, because my mother made that possible for me. And then you come to America with no language, no legal status, and you learn Spanish before you learn English to get by and make $5 an hour in a diner 2 hours away from home, wearing my mom's shoes, some rich lady's shirt, and some other rich lady's pants that my parents' friends would give us when they would change their wardrobes. And my mother's shoes, which I talk about in one of my books, were this shield, this protector, like walking in my mother's shoes, like literally wearing those shoes and feeling protected, going 2 hours away in a very strange environment, because it was so easy for me to do all of these things in comparison to what my parents did and my great parents to get us to this point. So that's my way of honoring them. And then over the years, working all these different jobs, I started doing this self-measurement. Wait a second. If everything was to be taken away from me, what am I left with? No investments, nothing that I can call mine, except, of course, the experience and the network and the relationships. So when I sat down with my thoughts and realized how much I had disrespected my parents' sacrifices by continuing to willingly give my freedom to a company and limit myself in so many levels and limit everyone else that would have the opportunity to work with me, learn together, grow together, I decided on the spot to quit my six-figure job as a director of business development and start my journey as an entrepreneur 3 years ago. Opened Eagles MA LLC, which is a business matchmaking company or a global focus connector. And as I say, I've been accused all of my life of being this very natural connector. Might as well plead guilty and make it official. But get rid of the orange suit.
Wow.
So that's how I did it, because of who I am, who I was, and who I was becoming in the process, I was not happy with. And I always say the most criminal thing we can do is to lie to ourselves, because nobody else knows, which means we can fail over and over and over. But you become honest with yourself, and that's where magic starts to happen. And it happened for me. So 2 years later, 6 books, because I just launched the sixth one last week, and having my own podcast and connecting with phenomenal humans like Larry, which is the reason why I'm here today, Larry Namer. And it's because I continue to show up. And to answer your question, the way you start is you start. Yeah. That's how easy it is. Just begin. And like Rumi says, the moment you start to create the path appears. Yeah. And I don't know how true I am to that quote, but that's the idea. Yeah. When you begin to have the first step, you're building on top of what's already been built. Yeah. And it's a lot stronger as a result. It's never weaker. It's always stronger. 2 steps are better than 1.
Migena, this is pretty freaking insane. Like, the universe is holding me right now with you.
Yes.
First of all, so grateful that I get to sit down with you. And I know that this is supporting so many listeners out there. But as of last week, I actually got laid off from my 9-to-5. And this is a moment where I am stepping into the unknown. I'm diving into the deep end. I don't know the how, but exactly what you just said, it's just about starting. And it's just about showing up. And it is about, of course, like having the work ethic and doing it, but there's also a side of just trusting. I'm curious for you. And, you know, for the young women out there, or young men listening, if they want to get started with building their network, what are some first steps that you think they can do to get started?
Sure. What works very well for me is the fact that I make it a point, not that I'm a natural, but in addition to being natural, I make it a point to ask people for their birthdays, their children's names, anniversaries. I've always made it personal. So I don't think anyone needs to start today from zero to building networks. The magical thing that happens once you decide that you want to be in look out for it and in search for it is that you already are connected. You already have the network. Now, if you think in massive networks, guess what? You have that too, because I'm a big believer that the two of us helping one another and every single other person doing the exact same thing, following the exact same formula, the entire world will be taken care of. Because that's the math. Us two and then everybody else with one another. The moment I'm connecting with you, I'm connecting with your entire ecosystem. You have no choice. And I have no choice as a result. So it's not where do I begin, where are the people? First and foremost, if you are a human being and you identify as a human being on this planet, chances are you are connected with other human beings. From having siblings to cousins to someone you worked with to 5 connections on LinkedIn. And the way you begin, if this is the first day for the rest of your life into the entrepreneurship world, is be honest. Let people know that this is where you are going to take your journey starting today. And as a result, you are the first person to know about it. So I'm honoring you by letting you know that the person or the company I was working for, guess what? They blessed me by letting me go. So there's more spaces out there for me to plug myself to help people, because guess what? I was being selfish, being stuck in one place, thinking I was doing them a favor when in fact I was doing everyone else a disfavor. So it's people call it mindset, call it whatever you want. It's a matter of how you speak to yourself, and of course in realistic terms, and not wake up in the morning and want to be someone that's going to get an Oscar the next day. Like that's not what we're saying. Or make your first million overnight, which could also happen. But the way you start is by letting yourself know that when you show up authentically in the world and when you are honest and as transparent as you can be, minus the areas that you cannot talk about because certain things are private. So let's not confuse transparency with privacy. Then you reach out to people. Text message, emails are a little cold. For myself, it's always been a text message. It's always been just reach out, and don't reach out when you need something. Reach out when you have something to give. And what do you have to give? Today message that I had literally to some of the friends that came to mind was, I want to remind you that you are loved, that you are gifted, that you are blessed, and you got this. And I send it to whoever I felt like sending it for no reason other than I wanted to gift a message, because I'm sure everyone, no matter how they feel on a daily basis, everyone feels good receiving a message. So this is how you start. You start with yourself, because at the end of the day, it is starting with you. You came into this world alone. You will go alone, but why not go with all of these accomplishments and not the other way around, where you start comparing yourself to everybody else and it becomes the thief of joy. As I say, comparison is a thief of joy. And how you build networks, you have to show up. And how do you show up? You truly show up, not just walk in a space, stay there for 3 days and walk out and complain the 4th day that you invested, or in their words, wasted. I call it investing. The money, the time, the energy, the efforts, and the sacrifices to get you to that event so you can meet the 5 Larrys of the world, the 5 Rachels of the world. You know, I say stretch to the right and stretch to the left and go a little like this. Wow, you smell great. What's that perfume? I love your shoes. To the person in front of you. Get up from your seat. Go across the room and compliment this woman's hair.
Yeah.
Shake hands. Connect energetically. Not like, hey, are you raising capital? I'm actually raising $20 million. Here's my card. It's going to be great. You're going to get 10%. Like, oh my God, let's breathe.
Yeah.
Let's just say how beautiful we are. It's okay not to be politically correct. We can still navigate, even though we've been told what to do. You can still be your own person. And guess what? Connect one person at a time. It's not about the masses. When you connect with one person, you connect in with their entire ecosystem, as I said. So when you show up, truly show up, compliment, be authentic. Don't share with people who you're not, and don't overpromise and underdeliver. And the most important advice I would give to the audience is, when you walk into these spaces for the first time and it's just you in a space with people you don't know anything about and a knowledge you know nothing about, remind yourself why you went there. And even if after the day 3 you leave this space with 0 connections, make sure to not leave yourself behind. Walk with yourself in, at a minimum, walk with yourself out. The moment you lose yourself in the process of a relationship, partnership, business trip, none of this is worth it, because we all will pick up and you're doing things for the wrong reasons. And you can't be an entrepreneur like that. You really can't, because an entrepreneur is someone who changes the world, is an innovator of hearts, minds, and soul. Is not just someone that invents a mic that you and I can communicate through. So that's what I would do.
Migena,
Yeah.
this advice, girl. Yeah, this is where it's at. And I love what you said about approaching your relationships as just being genuine and seeing, how can I support them? How can I support this network? How can I show up authentically? And I think that is what makes an authentic relationship versus a transactional one. And I think that is what is going to set you apart and will make this journey so much more fulfilling and fun.
For sure.
I'm curious.
Yes.
Because your mother's here with us today.
Yes, mommy, Nadira is here.
Mama's here. I'm curious, what type of role has she played within your entrepreneurship journey and really building these relationships?
I was at an investors' dinners 2 nights ago, and I had this 26-year-old guy next to me asking me, grilling me with questions, because he's just loves to ask questions. And what a smart way to connect with people. Ask questions. Even my website is Ask Migena, because chances are you may find a friend in me at a minimum or as a bonus. So he asked me a question. He says, do you have a best friend, or have you ever had a best friend, or something along those lines? And I said, I have one. And he said, for me, he said, it started when I was, because connected to this family, and everything I am today, it goes back into that connection when I was a kid through that family. He said, what about you? When was that first seed planted? And I said, with my mother. She brought me here. And the reason why I don't have best friends outside of my mom, I said, it's because she's been my best friend since I was born, and there's never been a need for another best friend. I believe in that. For me, I am blessed that it was mom. But, if you're lucky, maybe you get one best friend in your life, and it could be someone that you're not even blood related to. But I never had a girl best friend growing up or a guy best friend growing up, because mom left no holes unfilled. So that, I think, wraps it up as to, I am here because of her. She thanked me to bring her in LA, and my response was, no, thank you for bringing me to LA. Because you brought me to New York. I didn't bring her. I'm like, no,
you got me here,
you
Mama.
every day, because I get to buy expensive shoes with my own money, because you decided and you saw what I couldn't see. And she and I have this very thoughtful, deep conversations, and I'm constantly self-doubting myself. It's part of being human with emotions. And I'm like, Mom, I'm saying this out loud. Where am I wrong? Where am I right? Where can I improve? And she says, here you're very, very wrong. You need to fix this. You're not listening. And here you're doing okay. But as far as what you're doing in the world, there's so much more you need to do. You have just begun. You're in the right path, but keep going. It's not like, what is wrong with you?
No.
I quit my job on the spot, not having a penny coming in the next morning, which is January 1st of 2022, not knowing where that next dollar would come in. An entire year, I had no income, zero. I was in a negative, but also being a great saver, being an immigrant, working 3 jobs, having no days off for 3 years, Monday through Sunday. Wow. Started college at 24, then of course graduated with 3 degrees and 5 languages now, all this stuff. But my point is, if you don't have emotional support, financial support, and that mental support, it is very difficult. It looks very easy on the outside because we look so well put together, but when we lay our head in bed and start processing how we did today as humans, who did we hurt, who hurted us, and I'm not speaking physically, I'm speaking through a bad contract, through a bad decision in business, a layoff, someone that doesn't see our value, or that deal that went wrong, or that raise that we were going to do and cover the rest of our mortgage, that fell off because it's election and no one wants to invest nowadays. So their life pauses, my life pauses. And how do you navigate when you have a strong support system? Because from the beginning, you've been supportive of them and they've been supportive of you. Guess what? You need to rely on that support system. And mom has been that, my dad and my brother, we all live together. So there was never a feel of a need to go out there and get a second job or a first job out of panic because there's no money coming in, and how do I pay my mortgage? How do I pay rent? And how do I go to these events where I have the opportunity to meet, again, the Larrys of the world? So she's been the number one supporter, continues to be, and it's a blessing for me, but not everyone has that. But I highly encourage that you find that and you create that, because it's not always what's given to us, but it's also what we do with what we have to make a difference. So no one is a victim here.
I think that's absolutely beautiful, and I can 100% relate to you. I always say my mama is my emotional SWAT team. So Migena, you are incredible. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sitting with us and giving us the real. I know that this is going to be so supportive to those that are listening, and also for me on this freaking journey. So
you can count on me. I'm sure
let's talk after.
We'll collaborate a lot together. But grateful to be here, and thank you, and congratulations, and much success to the initiative. It's much needed. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
What a great conversation you just had. How are you feeling about it?
I honestly feel really inspired. It's kind of insane. Like, I had no idea, obviously, the ins and outs of her experience. And oh my goodness, I think this is exactly what I was needing to hear today. And the fact that she quit her job and then just went into the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reminder that if she did it, like, I can do it, and that we all can do it.
Yeah, something that I personally related to is when she said that she felt like she was disrespecting like her parents because like she migrated from another country, and that's something that I personally really related to. Like I said in a previous episode, when I graduated college, I could not find a job, and I had personally felt so much shame and so much guilt for not being able to uphold my end. Yeah. Like, in a way, my parents sacrificed a lot for me to even be able to live here, like in the US. Like, my mom, she came from Mexico, and they gave up a lot for me. And I really just want to be able to give back and do my part. And sometimes it's really hard when you feel like you're not able to uphold it. It was really interesting for me to hear another woman that kind of has felt those pressures, but how she was able to like overcome it and really make her parents proud. Like, that's something I'm also trying to do. So that was amazing to just see her go through that journey of like being at those lows, but then coming up to those highs.
I feel that, like, even right now, it's like sometimes, especially in the world that we're living in, it's expensive. And there's many people our age who have like 3 jobs just to live. And Cass, like, I have moments even recently of having this guilt or fear that, like, what if I can't make rent 1 month? Like, that's scary. That's scary to tell your parents. And I think it's just believing in yourself that you can move forward. And if you have that belief and you show up every single day, I think it's like also just trusting that, you know, money is energy, and there is a way to make that. And so I think we're really, really lucky to have the parents that we do have.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, you know, work has been a really big part of your life from my perspective that I've noticed. How does that affect how you see yourself now?
I think that my work now, being an entrepreneur, is very intertwined with who I am. And that's something that is so exciting and thrilling, but at the same time is very scary, because I think with every superpower, there's also a dark side to it. And the dark side that's showing up for me right now is fear of failure, fear of success. And for me, it's becoming so much more scary because my business are my values. My business is who I am to a T, and the legacy that I want to leave on this planet. So for me, it's like, if I don't succeed, it's almost a reflection of who I am.
And I feel like you've put this pressure on yourself, or society, or your parents, or where do you think you're feeling this pressure from?
From myself. From myself.
When you said that you feared the failure,
Yeah.
do you fear it because you feel like you're lacking something within yourself, or are you afraid that other people are going to see you as a failure? Because I can totally experience, I can totally relate to both of those.
I think like both, which is so funny. I think the fear of failure is like, oh my God, tied to feeling like you're not good enough or you're not worthy of success even.
Because like we all tell, at least me, like I tell myself those thoughts, and then it's like I'm scared, like, wait, like what if? What if I like all those things that I'm always telling myself is true? And it's scary too. It's like you don't want other people to see you like F up or like be on your lows. I feel like that's also why we try so hard to show that like everything's perfect and everything is great. And we don't show like those moments that aren't. So I think that's why it's so important for us to like be able to have these conversations.
Dude.
And I love that you were able to open up and tell people, because like I think that's important, because other people experience these things too. And I think it's so helpful for people to be able to see the ups and the downs.
Yeah. And I think that's why I love sitting here with you, Cass, because we are not perfect by any means. There's no such thing as perfect. And this is the real. And I think there's also a side of this that's very healing for me to sit down with you and be like, look, life is not perfect at all right now. And I know a lot of the people listening can relate with us. And it's almost like this concept of fear, right? It's not going anywhere. It's a real thing for all of us. It's a real thing for you. It's a real thing for me. It's a real thing for everyone that's listening. And I think my relationship with fear is that I know it's always going to be a part of life. And I think my mentality moving forward is just, I'm going to wear fear on my back like a backpack and bring it with me and step into the unknown, step into the fire, and just be like, fear, I see you, but it's okay.
I 100% agree with you. I think that's what Stall Talk is fully about. The reason why I'm here personally is because I'm not really here to like give advice and tell people how to do life. I'm just here to share my experiences and have other people join along if they want, because I feel at some point maybe someone has also experienced that, and I don't want anybody to ever feel alone.
I couldn't agree more. You're the best, Cass.
You are too. Smooches.
Yay.
Wow, what a conversation. I will definitely be taking that with me the rest of the day. Stall Talk is also the place where we get to share the things that we're interested about and new trends and things that are coming up. Something that I'm really excited about is all of the shows that I've grown up watching are like now coming back. I don't know if you guys saw Wizards of Waverly Place is back. They're filming Freaky Friday, The Princess Diaries. It is such an exciting time, and I'm so excited about the future conversations we can have from those shows that we grew up watching that are now coming back on the big screen. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching Stall Talk.
Y'all ready?